Hello everyone, my name is Tina Hotchkiss and I'm an artist here in Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm inspired by nature, landscapes, botanicals. I'm also inspired by how the light travels through trees, through the flowers, the flower petals, how form is captured by that light. So I really like to examine that and want to create the form that the light captures. I'm also inspired by making those active lines over my watercolor, putting a little bit of me in there with actual color to kind of spice it up a bit. So I hope you join me for these exciting classes. Thanks. Bye.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you can hear us and see us okay, please type llama in the chat. You already know the drill. Marlon says, hi, Tina. You've got a fan right here. All right.
Nice.
Good afternoon from Ottawa. Diane says, all right. Yeah, let us know where you're viewing this live stream from. And yeah, just let us know if you can hear us okay. Type llama. Llama, says Teresa C. Okay. And I think we can be heard. So I'll let you guys get acquainted in the chat as per usual. Hello from sorry, my eyes. Alameda. Okay. Llama from Germany. Oh wow.
Wow, good.
We've got people from all across the globe. That's amazing. Okay, so I think we can begin. So hello again, everybody. My name is Kathleen. I'll be your studio host for today. And for those who are new with Etchr, we are an art learning platform who works with art teachers from all across the globe. And today's free demo is brought to you by our resident artist, Tina Hotchkiss. And this works as a preview for her 90-minute class. But we'll talk about that real quickly in a while. I'll let Tina talk more about that, but that's going to be on May 5. That's 9 a.m. Eastern time, and that's posted on our website. And you'll be learning about perspectives and proportions, simplifying complex scenes. Trust me, Tina has a great way to break that down for you guys. So you might want to check that out. As per usual, if you have questions for Tina, just type them in all capital letters, just like what I did in the chat. And if you're going to be following along today, keep an eye on the chat because I'll be dropping several links, including the reference photos and also other links that you might find useful. So with that said, Tina, can you let us know what you'll be doing today and how that connects to your Etchr class?
Yes, today I'm going to be showing you the foundation of perspective drawing. And I know that we have all seen urban sketchers that will just quickly make a sketch with and it just seems so easy and effortlessly, but they need to know this foundation before you can do that. So this is to help you get there, to help with that free sketching. And so today we're going to be, this is my reference photo. We are going to be doing a sketch of this barn. And you can see here that I have a painting of it, and we can look at that closer later, maybe, if need be. So I think we can get started.
Okay, and speaking of the paintings, somebody says beautiful artwork in the background. Thank you so much. I'll just go ahead and share this. I think it can be seen. Okay, amazing. All right, I'll start playing. So Tina, whenever you're ready.
Okay, yes, this is going to be our final sketch for today. And we're doing a 2-point. And this is going to be the 90-minute graphite sketch. This is a painting that I've done that I use the same methods. And here's another one. This is actually a 1-point. And here's our reference. And we're going to get started here. So I always start out with my horizon line, and the horizon line is not where the earth meets the sky. This is your eye level. This is where your viewer eyes are. And I'm going to mark a point, vanishing point 1. I go VP1 and VP2. And I'm using my vanishing points right on the page. So you'll see some adjustments that I'm going to make. This is the front corner of that barn, and this is where we start with a two-point line. And each point has to go to each vanishing point. And you can see that we have converging lines. And these vanishing points have to be on this horizon so that they converge accurately. Now I'm showing the depth of the one side of the barn. And we're drawing a box, and we're making this box into this simple box into a barn. You can see here I have the depth of the other side, and you can see I'm using a triangle lining up with my paper to make sure that I have straight lines. This is how I find the center of this converging side of the box. I do from corner to corner, make an X, and where they meet in the middle, that is the center. And what we're doing is we're finding the peak of the barn here. Now this barn has multiple peaks in it, so I have to take that in account. Right now, I'm figuring out the proportion of the top of the roof of the barn to the side of the barn, and this is really important. And I'm just using a shish kebab skew to do that. You could use a pencil, but I like to use the skew because it's thinner. And now I'm looking at these peaks. And from corner to the other corner has to go to the vanishing point here. And, but I have my vanishing point is really close. So I'm going to check these angles with my shish kebab skew. And you can see I want to match that angle there. And I am just memorizing where that angle is, and I'm going to put that on here. So I'm kind of mixing traditional perspective, a mechanical perspective with also freehand drawing. And this is more of how an artist would use perspective drawing than as somebody that's doing very mechanical type drawing. I would say that this is probably the hardest part of this barn, is to get these peaks right. So we have to use our eyes to get them just right. And now I want to double check after I get this on here. I want to double check and say, does that look like it's that it can work? And it really doesn't. So I need to pull down that angle a little bit. And again, this is because my vanishing point on that side is so close. So I have to use my eyes and also use the projecting those angles. And now I've got a believable side of the barn. We just need it to be believable.
Tina, quick question about the ruler you're using. Do you have like a specific preference for rulers or?
A ruler. I'm using a triangle here. And the reason why I'm using the triangles because it has a 90-degree angle on it. So I can put the 90 degrees up against my paper to make sure my lines are straight. And you'll see me doing that. I'll point that out when I do that. Yeah, right here I'm getting my roof line in, and we're going to talk more about this in the 90-minute. You know, this I'm showing you this complete drawing of this. I'm going to talk more about these angles that I'm doing and why, and those angles are going to converge up to another vanishing point. And we really don't need to know exactly where that vanishing point is. We just need to make sure that it's believable, that our drawing is there. Now, here I made a box. I made a barn out of the box. Now I'm going to add another box, and this is going to be the stone wall that's on the side of the barn. So simple box going from vanishing point to vanishing point. And see, I'm lining up the bottom of that, my triangle to the paper, edge of the paper, and I'm able to make those straight lines. That's why I'm using a triangle. See, I'm going to each vanishing point. That was vanishing point 1, now vanishing point 2. And I'm going to be doing stairs, making stairs here. And that little opening, there's a stairway there. And all stairs are boxes stacked on top of boxes, but you just need to know where to put them. So that's my incline of my stair. This is the front of the box. This is the top of the box, how it converges to that vanishing point. And this is the back side. So you can see that it's a box. And now I'm going to draw another box. And that's all stairs are. Is a box and a box and a box. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to have lots of boxes. And there you go. Now we have our stairway. So now we've got our barn and our stone wall with stairs. And now we're going to have to put in the details of the barn. And I'm going to start with the doors, opening of the doors. Now I want to find out the center of this so I can have these divide up. So again, I do the X, and that quickly finds the center. And now I have the center of that plane in perspective. And again, here's a very, very thin box, are these doors. Now, this whole drawing from start to finish, because you can see that it's being sped up, took me a little less than an hour. So just so that you know. So now we have our doors, and you can see that I'm putting some thicknesses in areas too. We're going to talk a lot about that in our 90-minute. And you can also see that I change the angle of my pencil as I go across and move that triangle slightly to get thicker lines. Now I'm putting in the windows. Kathleen, do we have any questions that I should answer?
In the meantime, no, I guess they
Okay.
were following along, but
Sweet.
realize that we can't keep up at the moment. So if you did miss some sections of this live, you can refresh the same page or same link so that you can rewatch this over and over again. So in that case, in the meantime, you can enjoy the high quality video. So yeah.
Yeah, so I had the three windows. Now I'm doing the other windows, and you see that each side, and we'll talk more about this on the 90-minute workshop, has to go to the right vanishing point so that they're converging. These are lines that are that have angles. Now I'm finding the center of of the half. So I'm making a fourth so that I find where this center of the windows are. We can't, it's hard for us to divide up these planes into halves and fourths by using just our eyes. So this way, doing these X's help us place our windows. So that's just what I'm doing here. And putting these little details in really help have the character of the building come out. Yeah, so now it's really starting to look like a barn.
It does, and I think it really is helpful with the trick that you mentioned about positioning the windows, forming these X's. I think that would be really useful.
Yeah, and if you watch this video, you can stop it and do it, and you'll be able to do this. Now I'm just cleaning up some of the construction lines that I have, and many of them, and a lot of my work, I leave the construction lines in. It kind of adds a feel to it. Now I'm just putting a little border around here. This is more like a sketch that a industrial designer or architect would do for somebody. And I'm just going to quickly put the trees in the back here, and I'm using an HB pencil I can erase very easily. Now we're going to render it with color pencils. And if I had more time, I would have spent more time getting really nice layering of color pencils, but this is just a very quick color study. I'm using drafting film is the paper that I'm using today. And this goes way back to my industrial design days, where we did sketches like this, and would show how a building that we were designing would look. I worked for a builder that we did this home builder that we did sketches like this that would just give them an idea. So this is supposed to be just a real quick layering of color on here. I'm using Winsor Newton color pencils with this. Drafting film has a nice tooth to it, so it layers the pencils very well, takes the pencil well. Putting trees in. Now, in the 90-minute workshop, we're going to be using just graphite pencil, and I'm going to show you how to layer the graphite pencils, understand what all the different numbers on the pencils stand for, and why do we need those. We have a 2H, we have a 3H, we have a 6B, a HB. You know, what does that all mean? And we'll go over that in the 90-minute workshop. Also, we're going to be drawing the other side of this barn. So it's the back part of the barn. And it also has a stone wall to it that also has some foliage that goes over it. So we'll have some fun with that. So right here, I'm just layering some different greens over top to get that look of trees, just very, very quickly.
Tina, in this type of drawing, do you prefer a certain type of paper?
No, I really, it's okay. I decided to use the drafting paper here because of the style of drawing, because this is what a lot of architects or industrial designers would do. They would use drafting vellum to do this. So that's why I decided to do this. Another piece of paper that you could use that takes color pencil well is Canson colored paper, and you could use like a toned paper, which would be really nice, and that takes color pencil well. Also, Arch's hot press, which is a really smooth watercolor paper. That's probably my favorite to do any type of color pencil work on it. And that would be the fine color pencil work, the work that you, or even graphite pencil too, that you layer, that just takes a lot of time to do, and that looks really fantastic. So like I said here, this is just a quick rendition of this barn. But good question. Good question. There are all kinds of color pencils too. There's Prismacolor, and let's see, we have Winsor Newton, Prismacolor. There's also a Rembrandt brand, and the Rembrandt brand is not wax based, it's oil based. So you have your wax base and your oil based pencils. So there's a lot of different kinds, and these aren't the watercolor pencils. These are just the regular pencils. But good question. Good question. Now, I'm hoping that by having this course that you understand how to see 2-point and 1-point. This is a 2-point perspective piece because we see the corner and 2 converging lines of each side of the barn. A 1-point would be when we see the front facing completely in front of us, and then you see a little bit of the one side, and then that gives you that converging line. So there would only be one converging line, but in this case we have 2, and we have one eye level or horizon line for those points to be on. Now all your points would go to that horizon line. If you had multiple things that were turned a little bit, they would still have to go to that same horizon line. The only time that you would use another horizon line, not horizon line, but another line that your points would be on, would be if something was tilted up or tilted down. And if people have questions about that, we can go over that maybe in the 90-minute workshop. Here you can see that the shadows and multiple lines that create those shadows is really important. And I'm using a smaller triangle here to get those on there with a brown pencil. And you will also notice that I will take the pencil along the line of the triangle and I rotate it back and forth to kind of get a thicker line and a thinner line on there. So here's that heavy shadow that's underneath, layering that, putting in the window panes, dividing up those windows to add just a little bit more detail. Getting that accent green on quickly. Putting depth in that window by putting a thickness. This is the side that you would see you can see inside the window on that side. And then putting a little bit thickness on the inner sides of that window, and then adding a darker to add a little bit of dimension to that window. These little details really do help.
Mm-hmm.
Again, just a little bit more dimension. Now we can see a little bit inside. Oh, here I'm using, this is one of those rubber mats that are on stairs that have a texture to them. And I'm just lightly using the color pencil over it to give me the look of the slats.
Oh.
And you can see that it doesn't actually follow the perspective of it in that one corner, but that's okay. This is just to give a look of a texture. You know, I do know that there's converging lines, but this is just to give a look of that texture. That's all. Now I'm thinking of that big shadow, that really big shadow of that tree is casting on there, and I'm just drawing that on there.
This is so creative. I love how you used this tool. Like, wow.
Now this is your drafting film is going to let you do this. The cans on paper wouldn't, it's too thick, and also the watercolor paper. So that's one of the reasons why I used the drafting film, so that you can get this. But there are some other sketch papers out there that is thin enough that you can do something like this. Now I'm putting in that shadow that goes across the top of the barn, of those trees. And that whole area there would be very dark. I really don't have enough time here to layer so much color to get it as dark as I would like, but this is just a very simple sketch. And like I said, in real time, this took me a little less than an hour to do. So this is something that you could do on site, would be a sketch like this. Trying to add some depth into that with the different values of color that I see. Layering your colors, if you layer opposite colors like green and reds, you'll end up with darker values doing that. So you can see that I'm layering some of these colors on top of each other to get darker values. I put a texture in the stone wall by just adding lines. Just putting a little bit of blades of grass sticking up so that the building is anchored. Now I turned that mat the other way, so we have vertical lines, and this shows the slats that are on the doors, and you'll see more of what I'm talking about when I get the darker colors in. Yeah, see, now you can see the slats of the doors. Just adds a texture and an element. And you saw that I did not color in that red clear across the barn completely. I just put in just little bits where it will show up, and left where the light is hitting the side of the barn. Add some dark for inside. So I'm using my darkest blue and my brown, and when you use those together, you get your darkest dark. Putting more dimension in, doing the same thing on this side. And if I want really sharp edges, I can just take that little triangle and get those real sharp edges. You can use a ruler. The only reason why I was using triangles was for that edge. And I like using these real little triangles for this type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, getting those, the depth in the windows. I have to go to find that vanishing point because the panes of the window go right to that vanishing point. There's a lot of times where you'll see that people don't follow the vanishing point, and their windows look like that they're flying off the building, or they just don't belong on the building. That's wise because everything's not going to that one vanishing point. And now I'm going to, you can see that I'm following that line where that vanishing point is to do the texture on this side. And since the texture, it's converging lines, you see what I did? I did one corner and the other corner.
Yeah. And
got a texture, and it's believable. I probably should have done that on the barn, on the other side of the barn too. That probably would have helped. So it looked like I was following the vanishing points, but just very quickly getting that. And so collect things that will give you texture. I could have done a texture on the stone wall like that if I had something that had a random texture. And it's unbelievable all the things that you can find with textures. Okay, so cleaning it up a bit here. I'm going to put in a color, and for those graphic lines, like I said, this is just something that, you know, my industrial design days we did. Yeah. It kind of pulls in, and I even do it sometimes in some of my watercolor pieces. So yeah, and there we are. We've got our 2-point perspective barn.
Oh, that looks amazing already. And oh, this is the finished piece.
Yep, not bad for done in an hour. You know, it's not a finished piece that I'd want to frame, but it is a good study. And here, this is what we're going to be doing in our 90-minute workshop. We're going to be talking about layering color or graphite pencils, and also talking more about getting those divisions correctly. When I was telling you about putting the X and having the proportion of the sides correct, and then adding that stone wall. And you can see that this is, the barn is actually on a hill, built on a hill. And we'll talk about that and talk about how to find out where that eye level line is by looking at the photo, analyzing the photo. These are all things that's going to help you with those quick sketches that the urban sketchers do. Knowing this foundation will give you your artist eyes. You just have to learn to look and to see the angles. And then you can do all those fabulous free-handed urban sketching.
Yeah, yeah, Tina and I were just talking about that earlier. We were sharing our information or exchanging like experiences, I guess. I'll let Tina get back to your screen first so that we can answer some questions. And yeah, these is kind of like a fundamental class. So this would really help you a lot in, just like Tina has mentioned, it's going to help you a lot in building that type of information that you need. Oops, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, here's actually that same barn. It's at the eye level is a little different in this one. I was down further instead of on top of the hill, but this was done on location. I did this actually out at the site, and yeah, all of those things came into play into this drawing or this painting too. So yes, we really do need that that foundation of knowing what are we looking at? How do we put it on our paper?
Amazing. We've got someone commenting right here, saying that very informative instruction. These perspective tips and texture tools are very helpful. Thank you so much. That's beautiful. And wow, fantastic class. Thank you, Tina. It helps a lot. If you do have some final questions, do let us know in the chat. But I think we have addressed most of them earlier, which is great. Meanwhile, while we're waiting for some of these questions to come in, I'll go ahead and backtrack to some of these lovely comments that we've got earlier. Lollipop says, I love the painting you done. What type of ruler? I think we've already answered that in terms of ruler. And we've got a question about the 90-minute class. If it's live, yes, it's gonna be live. So this won't be sped up. That won't be sped up, so you guys can follow the step-by-step instruction. No worries about that. And also, well, it's for 90 minutes, so you guys will definitely have time with Tina so that you could go ahead and go through all of these processes. And for our newcomers, Tina, would you let us know or reiterate, I guess, what you'll be doing in the 90-minute class?
Yeah, I actually have the actual drawing right here. So we are going to be, this is going to be our graphite drawing, the end drawing, and I have the reference photo, which you'll be able to get is right here. So this is actually the back of that same barn that we're doing. And we're going to be going over all the things that I just went over, but slower and more in depth on why I'm doing what I'm doing, I think will help a lot. And you have to do this multiple times to really get it and to be able to do it accurately and at a pace that that is probably more reasonable, that you'll do it more and more. But again, it is boxes and boxes. That's all it is boxes and boxes. So just understanding those converging lines. And here's the, this is my really expensive tool here, these Skus. You can buy them by the hundreds. But these are so helpful to be able to find angles and to have a couple of them so that you can see, you know, what the angles are doing, where that horizon line is and where does it meet. So these are very, very valuable tools. A lot of people use their pencils, but pencils are too thick. I think and it's just not long enough. Too. And then I use these for proportions to figure out proportions too.
Yeah. I'm glad that you were able to introduce to us some of these tools that are more accessible for us. So it's not really that, let's say, very detailed or very specific.
Yeah, in the 90 minutes class, we're going to be really looking at the cube and understanding the differences between when you move those vanishing points too. That is something that you really need to know too. And what happens when that vanishing point is too close, or and how you can make it further away without having to actually have the vanishing point on your page. So there is just so much to cover, and I could do probably several more of these to be able to get that. But I just commend everybody that wants to learn about drawing, because it is the foundation of painting.
I love that. And speaking of painting, really just curious question in the chat. At this point in your art career, do you work outside more freehand?
Yes. Having that background of knowing what vanishing points do and understanding about the horizon line and those converging lines, yes, I would do more of this kind of thing where I'm looking at something and find the angle of it and match it. Yeah. And match it to my paper. That's how I would handle my perspective if I was on location, probably more. But I have all that knowledge in my head. So I think about those vanishing points. Are they really going on that same horizon? Because if they're not, that's when you get your building where it looks like it's kind of going up on this side and sinking down this side, and you get this kind of skewed look.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of times where we're looking at a building and we love the character of the building. The building is saying something to us. And if we can't get those proportions correctly, our painting's not going to convey that charm that we wanted in our painting. So that these just taking the time to learn this is so beneficial.
I agree. Yeah. For you to be able to reach that point, I guess you will be needing to know these fundamentals, which is what Tina and I have been talking about earlier. So, okay, I think we've got one last question. Oh no, this is just a comment. I'm sorry. This is so helpful. Thank you so much, Tina. That's Maria from Chicago. Okay, and thank you. Great advice, says Ramir. Thank you so much. And if I don't see any questions right here. Any more questions? All right, but if you do have any more questions for Tina and you're just too shy to ask, feel free to message her on Facebook, on Instagram, or email her. Tina's got a website, an Instagram account, and also Facebook. So feel free to message her at any platform. I just dropped the bulk link in the chat earlier. So, all right, everybody, our time is up, and I hope you enjoyed your time with Etchr Studio, Tina, and thank you for that lovely demonstration for today. We do these live demos on YouTube a couple of times a week, so make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified. And if you love what you have watched today, if you love how Tina has broken this down really simply for you, just click the like button below. And also I've dropped the link to our feedback survey, so you can help us get to know what other contents you would love Tina to do in the future. And we've got really interesting stuff coming soon, so that's something that you might want to look out for. And also I dropped the link to our private Facebook group. So we've got an open art studio again coming up soon. That's going to be on April 24th, Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure to check out the Facebook group for announcements. And if you have followed along today, or if you will be rewatching this video, you can post your artwork there on our Facebook group. So let's see. Lama from Winnipeg. Hello, Lorna. All right, so any final thoughts, Tina, before we sadly have to close this session?
I just want to thank you, Kathleen. You're always so wonderful. So thanks for hosting.
Thank you so much as well. You are equally wonderful, and the audience as well. You have been super attentive and active in the chat. I know you are trying to follow along, but we're trying to follow along, but I know you will be refreshing the page later on. So I'll let you guys do that then. And thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us till the end. And thank you, Tina, as usual. And until next time, everybody, make more art. Bye for now.
Bye.